Hey there YouTube, and welcome back to the Piston Baroque Garage. Another update on the Ducati Scrambler project. I have been able to get a lot of work done lately. Some parts have come in which have coincided with spring break here in Manitoba, Canada. Spring would imply that it's warm out, but of course it snowed again this week. It's now Thursday of spring break, so a few more days off before it's back to the old grind. But yeah, the thing about growing up in this part of the country is that I think I said the other day we could have spring break in July and we'd still get snow. It seems to happen every year. So it's a week off work, which is certainly enjoyable because of my job and education. But the thing is that yeah, it doesn't always cooperate weather-wise. So anyway, enough of me rambling on about the weather, which I always seem to talk about on this blog. Maybe I'll get more subscribers that way. And more on the bike. So here it is. Probably at first glance it doesn't look a whole lot different than the last video, but a number of things have been accomplished. I'll maybe start at the back. So I got the exhaust finished off. I can't remember if I had that on the last video, but I think it looks fairly nice actually. The Scorpion can looks good. Fairly tight clearance here, as you can see. So the idea around having a round exhaust isn't going to quite work. So definitely it's going to have to be oval. This is a short exhaust with a big gaping hole in it, so it's going to be pretty fruity. But what the heck, it's a race bike. So nice and sturdy mount. And again, I should maybe keep track or write this down, what I've actually talked about in these vlogs already, but it does use the pickup mount here and a rubber bushing as per the original design. Nice and sturdy, and like I said, it's a set of 900 headers. So although they do sit proud or away from the engine a bit more than I'd like, certainly not a clearance issue. And other than that, it seems to fit up fine. So exhaust length on these Ducatis isn't a thing that you want to avoid. Length is actually good because of certainly the difference in header length between one cylinder and the other, especially in a 2-to-1. So after faffing about with various designs, styles, setups of a battery box, I found this online, Foz Racing, F-O-Z or Z, depending on where you're from. Beautiful little aluminum battery box. It's got a little rubber strap to hold things down. I've put some foam in the bottom to protect it from the little button Allen bolt that I've put through here, and some on the side here so the wires don't chafe against it. But for the amount of time and effort and farting around I was doing trying to develop a battery box for this seemed like a great solution. As you can see, I've wired up the harness from the regulator rectifier. I think this is now the 3rd or 4th location I've decided on, and it's going to be semi-permanent simply because I've already cut the wires to suit. So it does use a better harness to attach to the I'm going to call it the alternator, rotor, stator. I'm sure I'm using those terms incorrectly and universally. And then this is directly wired up to the battery itself on one side. Again, because of the temperature, like these shrouds are super stiff, so I'm not sure if I'll keep these or just wrap them in a different type of tape. And speaking of tape, you can see that the harness has all been finished. So I went and splurged on some proper wiring harness tape. I think it's called Tesa, T-E-S-A tape. It's more of a cloth than the traditional vinyl electrical tape. It leaves it a lot more flexible and looks a bit more factory, I guess. So again, you can see how simple the harness is, and how when you eliminate a whole bunch of wires, relays for all the lighting and that sort of thing, it makes for a nice simple harness. And you can see too, I've also wired in the for the starter solenoid. I did give the engine a little bit of a thumb with the starter, and it turned over. So obviously the starter solenoid works as advertised, but I've left this up here, my beautiful penmanship timing. So before I start changing belts or fussing around with this sort of thing, I need to reset the timing and go from there. But I haven't even ordered new belts for this thing. With a lot of used Ducatis, those belts are probably original to the bike. The engine only had 15,000 kilometers on it, but it's a 20-year-old engine, so always change belts, you know, for the sake of just keeping an eye on things. I don't want that to end up wrecking an engine for me. That and wheel bearings is something I always do. Mounted the rear master cylinder, started to collect the parts needed to complete the brake system, so I have some fine and coarse pitch threads, so that's in there. I'll likely, well, I know I'll go back to Ven Hill, USA to do the brake lines and the clutch lines, simply because you can custom make them any color, any fitting, any length. They're awesome. Okay, around to the back. You notice the chipped and scratched bronze wheel is now bare aluminum. I don't know, I keep doing this to myself. I don't know why, but I think, oh, you know, I don't want to pay for sandblasting and powder coating. I can strip this myself, and even if I just strip it, it's aluminum. It doesn't mean I have to paint it. Well, the paint strippers nowadays are garbage. I know the old ones worked really well, but you would die if you got them on your skin or inhaled them, but it's a bit crap. So the temperature doesn't help again, but anyway, I did end up finishing the strip job with a bunch of drill fittings. You can see some marks and scratches in it, and when I get the time and an inclination, I will repaint this, but I'm going to leave it bare for now. I do have another wheel inbound anyway, that's in better shape. Another 4.5 incher. Those are super cheap because they're only 4.5 inch. But when you're only running a 160 rear and you're not driving down the street posing with your big fat rear tire, it's certainly more than enough. The reason why I avoid sandblasting these things, and powder coating might be an absolute no-no, is that the cush drive are rubber bumpers set into the wheel itself, which are bare to get out, obscenely expensive to replace. They might last 30 minutes at 400 degrees in a powder coating oven, and they may not, so it's just not worth it. Aesthetics, I should just give up on that. So yeah, now we're on the other side of the bike. Found a Ducati clutch slave cylinder. That was used but in good shape, came with the proper bleed nipple there too. This is a larger bore, which should work well with the OEM clutch master cylinder. I got the sprocket guard on here. I don't know if I remember if I did this, talked about this the last time, but the Monster engines are externally identical to the Super Sport engines, except the main drive shaft is offset a bit more out from the case itself. That's to deal with the single-sided swing arm that normally ran with these engines. So I need to shave off a bit of this face so it just lines up the sprocket properly. So I'll get that to my machining guy when he's available. Yeah, I'll go to the front and then around back to the bottom. So as you can see, the wiring harness is all completed. This is the lead for the coils, which I'll need to mate into the Ignitec ignition piece, which goes in there. I'll wait for it to warm up a bit more. It was an expensive part, and I don't know if it's delicate or not, but I certainly don't want to damage that at all. So I'll leave that out for now. Wait for it to warm up. This single blue wire is for the tachometer signal, so that's already hooked up. I think I showed you the last time, or I've got some pictures online, that the gauges do work, and as I said, I cranked it and it turned over. Got the new number plate mounted. Bike Breakers Canada, the guy who sold me the engine and a steering damper for another project, tracked down a nice front fender for me. This is from a Z1000, which I guess externally had identical forks. So again, it's a total crapshoot to see what kind of shape these fenders, like they look good in photos, and then when you get them in, they've got a crack on the inside. But once again, John Ryan at Bike Breakers Canada hooked me up with a nice fender. I've already scuffed it a bit with some, I think it was 400 grit or maybe even a blue scrubby to get it started. Of course, the bike hasn't even run yet, but I'm already thinking about paint schemes. So you know me, I'll paint the thing before I've actually even ridden it down the street, which is stupid. I vow this time I'm not going to throw any paint on this thing until it's actually ready. So yeah, wheels mounted. When it warms up a bit more, I'm going to lever some tires on this thing. I'm going to take the Metzler Race Tex from the TT project and put it on this, more of a racy tire and what you need. Over to here, I had to add some fiberglass to the pads. That's what this is underneath, to help it sit square on the subframe, so that's been done. Got my fancy dancy race fuel cap from eBay. Some person in China probably de-engineered some expensive part from Italy and then sells it for 50 bucks. So yeah, you can complain all you want about China and intellectual property, but 50 bucks is 50 bucks. So so as you can see, if you're looking a bit further back, I've got a belly pan mounted, and mounting belly pans is either one of the most satisfying or aggravating things. When you buy proper body work for the bike as specified, and you've spent a lot of money on the body work, it usually goes together fairly nicely, and you can spend, you know, one day doing it. I think that's all it took me for the 848. If you look up that video, putting race body work on that thing went quite smoothly. This is a belly pan, I think obviously from a 900 SS or a Monster, you know, air cooled twin that I got from Desmond Douay. He sold me some other parts that he had left over, and this actually wasn't terrible in terms of how it went together. You can see that I've had to relieve some sections in order to sit it up high enough and clear the pipe. So I'm either going to glass over that to make it an oil retaining belly pan, or just leave it, because again, if I'm not racing, I don't need an oil retaining belly pan. If it's just a track day bike, which it probably is, then I'll just have it for looks, I guess, to clean up the bottom end. So I think that's one lap. Oh, the carburetors. Where are the carburetors? Well, I do this all the time. I decide I'm going to run with solution A because I can't find solution B. That'll never be available. They're so rare, blah, 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 blah. And then sure enough, solution B does eventually turn off. So I've got myself a pair of proper FCR 39s, which is the proper size for an 800 engine, according to the experts. 41s would have been fine, but 39s came up off the Japanese auction site. Got them for an incredible price. Yes, they're used, but they had been rebuilt. And they're the one horizontal carb and one downdraft carb that are supposed to be for this orientation. And they're Keans. They're the real deal. So that's pretty cool. They're inside right now. I took them apart to just inspect them closely, get a sense of baseline settings. And I found out that when they were rebuilt, someone used the wrong float valve seat. They took it off an FCR MX, and this requires a different float valve seat. So luckily, two things happened. My friends in Europe, a shameless plug for Frank MX Parts, which I've talked about previously. Frank was able to hook me up with the correct valve seats and valve seat O-ring. So that's on its way from Belgium, I think. And then Ducati Aprilia Camna, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the K word correctly, out of Germany, I believe. They sell some really cool, short, rotatable intake manifolds that bolt up to this engine. I had to take some measurements and send it to Lars at Ducati Camna. Great guy, good communication, reasonable price, reasonable shipping. Thank you, DHL. They're so much nicer to deal with than UPS, and they're on its way. So there'll be customs and import taxes and that sort of thing, and that's just the cost of doing it right. Some guys have used Malassi intake manifolds, but all have said they're not quite right. Like, they were originally intended for a different configuration. So, this is the right layout or orientation for this bike. So I'm excited to get those in, finish building the carbs. When it warms up, I can get the Ignitec harness fitted in, hook it up to my laptop, start playing with that, get some new belts on, get some oil in it. I have put on a new oil drain bolt, and I think I put the new filter on. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Either way, it'll get a new one. So the bike is getting closer to actually turning over and making some noise. Still super premature. I still got to get the fuel tank modified. I'll get Brent at Cycle Boys to do that because it needs to be TIG welded, and I need him to weld in a bung and a fuel tap of some sort. But yeah, it's as you can see, it's starting to look like a bike. And I'm just going to pause the video here and put the bodywork on because it looks even better. So one moment, please. And we're back. So, bit of mishmash color, certainly not complete, but you can see that the silhouette is what it is. And yeah, I'm really honestly liking how it looks. And they say if it looks good, it'll ride good, hopefully. But yeah, still tons of stuff to do. But yeah, I'm really happy with how the bike's looking so far. I'm already thinking about paint, as I said earlier in this video. And if you remember back in like 2008, 2009, I think it was Hector Barbera, and number 65 factory Ducati got them their first MotoGP win. Former 250 world champion. Can't remember what I had for breakfast. Can't remember this guy's name. Anyway, the Pramac Ducati team from that era, 2008, 2009, had this odd colorway, this sort of greeny color with white and red, and it was just the most obnoxious paint scheme around. You couldn't miss it for a mile. And I swear, good old Canadian Tire, which is like our Pep Boys for our American friends, and Aldi for our UK friends, has a trim-clad paint color called Key Lime, which I swear is exactly the same shade as that crazy Ducati Pramac color. So something to think about. Again, I'm months or maybe even years away from even throwing any paint on this. If I just to do it right, I should, if things work out perfectly, get this running, get this working under its own power, summer of 2025, rip it all apart, paint the frame, paint the bodywork, have it ready for summer of 2026. But anyway, it's just one of those things where yeah, I'm getting way ahead of myself with paint ideas, but I just thought that might be a fun paint scheme. It never turns out the way I envision it in terms of what the finished job looks like or what I see in pictures. I just don't have that artistic eye. But I might just also paint it flat black because that's a safe color too. Anyway, yeah, just a quick walk around of what it's looking like. Awesome flat track number plate. I'll get some 91s on that. Little bit of red highlights here. Props to some local companies. I don't know if anyone from Manitoba actually watches this vlog. Capital Motorsports in Winnipeg is rebuilding my steering dampers, and Mark's the Spot Motorcycle Tires sold me these GPR 300s, which are far more sensible tires to put on a lightweight street bike than Metzler Race Techs. Those are going to go on this one. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. As always, there's parts coming in, there's weekends coming up, there's scheming going on constantly in my head. But I don't know, I have 415 followers. I don't know if they're following this build or looking at my old KTM content or my old Ducati content or my Z900 content, but either way, if you got any ideas of paint schemes, I'm open anything. Some guy even suggested on a Facebook forum like Robin's Egg Blue. I've always liked the Gulf oil colors, but finding that proper shade of blue and orange is tricky, and in the end result the bike never looks like they do on TV or in pictures anyway. So might keep it simple, and might try that ridiculous Pramac paint scheme again, just to be ridiculous. So anyway, thanks for watching. Check back soon. Hopefully, like I said, I've got some parts inbound. I also hope to do a side-by-side comparison between the Chinese FCR carbs that I bought and the real deal Kian FCR carbs. You know, people are asking me how do they work. Well, I don't know how they work because I haven't mounted them to anything, but at least I can take a look at them side by side and make a comparison to them. So that might be either incredibly interesting or absolutely boring. So we will see. Anyway, like and subscribe.